You think that you struggled and suffered for no reason in your past and even as a child, not realizing that all of those trials and tribulations and all those adversities was showing you who you were meant to be. And in order for you to be the person who you're destined to be in this life, you had to witness certain abuse. You had to deal with certain narcissistic people. You had to go through certain quote unquote obstacles and delays and trials and tribulations, so therefore you are able to understand how strong you are, how confident you are, and how beautiful you are. So with that being said, you need to know that what you went through was not in vain and that there is a purpose. Welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Guidance, and that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Now, with that being said, because there is no right or wrong way to heal yourself, always and only take what resonates as well as leave the rest. So if it doesn't apply, then that means it's not aligned, which means it is not for you, so don't force it. As well as grab your pens, grab your paper, and be prepared to take notes. In today's video, we're going to go over and discuss why you had to struggle, as well as what to do moving forward once you accept what was, and how to just continue to deal with adversity as you become the person who you're destined to be, as well as some recommendations, some reminders, some disclaimers, and just certain things that you should be aware of. So starting off with the introduction, because that was a mouthful, the reason why you had to struggle was simply because you needed to be 100% sure on who you were meant to be, as well as 100% sure about what could no longer be a part of your life and what was no longer going to serve you. Now, of course, when you're growing up in poverty, when you're growing up and you're dealing with abuse, whether it's emotionally, physically, financially, you may not have the capacity or be mature enough to understand what you're going through and why you're having to experience it. So I'm not here to invalidate your emotions and the pain and suffering because you went through the things that you went through, but you're not the only person. What has helped me along my healing journey was to, number one, express what has happened to me, identify, and to realize that the only reason why I and you went through these things was because we needed to know, we needed to be able to see, like, we have to understand that just because we have intentions and we may mean well and we want to do certain things doesn't mean that every person that we come in contact with feels the same way, and that these people are meant to be in our lives forever, or that they're meant to have control over you. So when you deal with abuse, when you deal with narcissistic family, when you go through suffering, when you are in poverty, when you're struggling, you think that one is in the world and that you're alone, and you're not. You have to realize that a lot of times the people that you're born into, like the people that are closest to you that maybe have caused the pain and the suffering, are only meant to be a part of your life to show you certain lessons, so therefore you're able to move forward. So the second disclaimer is knowing that you have to start paying attention to what it is that you're going through. A lot of times we're so quick to be angry and frustrated when it comes to people trying to hurt us and harm us and sabotage us. And once again, nobody's invalidating your feelings. Nobody's saying that you're wrong for feeling how you feel, because it's not appropriate for people to abuse people and to sabotage and to steal and to lie and to gossip and to physically hurt and harm and manipulate and gaslight. But unfortunately, there is corruption and chaos for some people. But instead of us becoming like the people who try to hurt and harm us, we have to realize why that even happened to us, and that's going to be a part of the recommendations. Until you start paying attention to why you're going through certain things, why you have to experience certain things, whether you're witnessing it, whether you're seeing it, whether you're having to be around certain people, places, and things, until you're able to realize what is it in you that's even in alignment and attached to, you will continue to have the same cycles. You have to understand that there is some form of attachment that you have, and that could be from the abuse, that could be from you having people pleasing tendencies, that could be from you not having nurturing and love, that could be from you not having confidence, that could be from you living in a single household, that could be based off of you growing up in poverty, that could be you going through the abuse that you went through at home physically, that could be based off of how you were raised, what you were taught or what you weren't taught. So the third disclaimer is knowing that when you are impacting your childhood trauma, when you're impacting the struggling, suffering, you are going to go through a period of fluctuations of emotions. Like some days you're going to be angry, some days you're going to be mad. It's really important that you are just allowing yourself to be vulnerable, you're allowing yourself to be honest, you're allowing yourself to feel what you feel, but you're coming up with solutions. You do not want to burden your heart and distort your image of your reality. So it's really recommended that you are seeking a therapist, you are going to psychiatrists, and that you're confiding in people that you can trust and love. If you're going to people and they don't have the capacity to help you, stop going to them. If you're going to people and they're gaslighting you or manipulating you or saying those things never happened, or they're calling you crazy, or they don't want to be accountable, they don't want to be responsible, you need to separate yourself from them. If you're in serious danger, obviously you need to seek professionals. You need to be calling authorities, rather than somebody such as, representatives, like legally, such as lawyers, such as the hospital, such as your local EMTs, psychiatrists, therapists, police officers, and etc., like government officials. Because it's like, we as people can no longer try to see certain things in people that don't exist. And that's the fourth disclaimer. You went through what you went through. You were touched on, you were beaten, you did grow up around narcissists, you did grow up poor, you know what you went through. You know what you went through. You don't need to tell everybody that. But you do need to be able to realize that, number one, you're not crazy, and that you are going to have to talk about it. And you could talk about it in your notes. Make sure you're liking, commenting, engaging. You do need to be able to talk about it though, because the longer you hold on to energy and mindsets and behaviors that are not even meant to be a part of your destiny, the more confused you'll be, the more lost you'll be, the more angry and the more frustrated you'll be. And I know from experience, I've gone through certain things in my life, which eventually I'll be able to talk about and share. I'm not going to talk about it right now in this video because I want to stay focused. And a lot of people and places and things who were not me, who thought that they were just going to come into my life and just, it didn't work. You have to realize that, once again, the reason why even I had to go through certain chapters was simply because I know me. I know why I went through certain things. But like I said, I'm not trying to make this about me. But from experience, a lot of times we're going to go through things because sometimes we're not where we need to be, or we're not doing what we need to do. And for me personally, the reason why I had to go through certain things was because I still had some evolving and learning to do. Once you realize, and I'm getting into the recommendations, once you realize certain people and places and things are not in alignment with you, they're not helping you, they're not pouring into you, they're not uplifting you, they're draining you, they're hurting you, you have to remove them. You have to create distance. You cannot help them, you cannot change them, and you shouldn't want to be around them. You don't have to feel guilty, you don't have to feel bad. You have to realize that a lot of people are not always given the resources and the tools to do certain things. You and I have. This is not to seem better or superior. It's just, that's just how life is. If people want to better themselves, number one, they have to want better for themselves. I don't make these videos to hear myself speak or to look at myself. I make these videos because there are a lot of people in this world who are struggling and suffering, who don't have the resources. This is why I'm always telling you guys to ask questions, and most importantly, to like, comment, and engage, because it's free. If I'm able to give out free content on YouTube, all I'm asking for those of you who choose to be here is to choose to be here and to reciprocate the same energy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, at the end of the day is going to end, and it's no reason to be bitter and angry. Not everything and not everyone's for you. So not everybody's going to agree with these videos. Not everyone's going to be for you. That's fine. You have to realize who's for you. You have to realize who's not, because the more and more you surround yourself with people and places and things who are not for you, the more and more you're going to struggle. And that's going to be the first recommendation. You have to understand that when you are dealing with internal issues and you're healing yourself from the struggling and suffering, that there was a reason. Now, on your notes with yourself, with your therapist, or when you're liking these videos in real time in the comment section, you need to ask yourself, why did you experience this? So whatever trials and tribulations, whatever you've been trying to sweep underneath the rug right now in the moment, and I'll give you a second to figure it out, I need you to ask yourself, why did you experience it? Now, of course, you may not have your answer immediately. This is going to take, effort, time, and energy. My videos, if you're watching this and you're caught up, you are going to eventually be an expert. But if you're new and you're a newbie, it takes time. Like, this is not something that just happens immediately unless you've been watching all the other videos and you've been doing the work. And we're not here to sugarcoat anything. We're not here to sweep things underneath the rug. So if you're not ready to be vulnerable, accountable, or honest, send and share this video to somebody who is. But it's like, you have to ask yourself, why did I go through this? So if you grew up around narcissistic people, you need to ask yourself, why would I be exposed around narcissists? What was I supposed to learn about myself? What was I supposed to learn about other people? Because there's a reason. There's always a reason. Like, for me, the reason why I personally had to encounter people who had low self-esteem was to show them that being confident is okay, but most importantly, to continue to be the person that I am. I personally have been very blessed and very fortunate to know who I am, and that's another reason why I make these videos, because when you're really blessed and abundant, you give, you share. That's not an issue. The only people who don't share and give are people who are not blessed and abundant, all to y'all shade, and greedy. There's enough for everyone to exist, but that's a different topic within itself. So because I've always been privileged and I will always be privileged, me helping you and just people in general doesn't take anything away from me. And that's the reason why I personally have been blessed to be around certain people. Did I want to be around them? No. But that's the reality. I had to be around certain people to show them how to be confident, how to stand in their worth without comparing themselves and without being envious. And they had to be around me so they can learn how to be confident, to not be low vibrational, and etc. Same thing with you. Why did you have to deal with abuse? Maybe you had to deal with verbal abuse because you're somebody who didn't articulate yourself. Maybe you didn't express yourself. Me personally, I've witnessed a couple of people who are narcissists. Once again, why did I have to be around them? Well, simply because I had to realize that just because people are going through things doesn't mean that I have to be the person that helps them. Sometimes you have to, when you are a good person, we have to realize that not everyone is deserving of your help. And I've learned that. It only took me one time, though. It only took me one time, because lessons, you don't need to keep repeating them once you figure out why. That's the first recommendation. But for me, it only took me one time in my life, you guys, to help someone who was so nasty, was so degrading, was so disrespectful and undeserving, that it made me realize that I'm not going to stop helping people, but you have to be mindful. Like, when people show you that they are arrogant and egotistical and, like I said, just mortifying as people, and they have no manners, remove yourself, because I don't condone that. Like, nobody's obligated to do anything for you. So if you have people that are willing to help you, don't bite the hand that feeds you, because at the end of the day, what goes around comes around. So the second recommendation is realizing, you know, once you realize why you had to struggle and suffer, is to just be honest about how you feel. You could be frustrated, you could be mad. The reason why you need to identify how you feel is so therefore you can understand what it is that you're feeling and what you can do moving forward. So for me, when I was in certain environments, and I'll just use the example that I gave when I helped an individual who was undeserving, I personally wasn't bitter and I personally wasn't frustrated. I just was speechless, simply because this person wanted to have access to me, and I'm somebody where I don't do parasocial relationships. Like, if you try to come into my life, you have to have value, you have to be a certain type of way. So it was the simple fact that I allowed someone who I wouldn't even allow access to have access to me, for them to turn around and just be a weirdo. But that was on me. That was a lesson I had to learn. I take accountability. It's not the end of the day. Like I said, I'm not going to be angry, I'm not frustrated, I'm not bitter, but I am allowed to talk about it. And also too, you talking about how you feel doesn't make you resentful, doesn't make you bitter. People who don't communicate, and that's going to be the third recommendation, people who are not used to articulating themselves, people who are not used to being vulnerable, always try to make people who are vulnerable feel uncomfortable. Everybody deals with their emotions differently. So if you're like myself and you have emotional intelligence and you are somebody who has manners and morals and you've been raised a certain type of, like, you have a certain etiquette, it's nothing wrong with communicating. A lot of people don't know how to communicate, and that's going to be the third recommendation. Stop surrounding yourself with certain people and places and things if they're not able to assist you. And once again, don't take advantage of people who are assisting you. Don't feel entitled. But it's like, if people can't get to know you without judging you or understanding that you go through things that some people don't, you don't need to be around them. Like, because not everybody in the world is struggling and suffering. Like, there are some people who are, like I said, are extremely blessed and have never gone through anything, and that could be you watching this or people that you know. Don't be envious of them. Don't compare yourself. But it's like, if you know you grew up in a certain environment, a toxic environment, you cannot look outside yourself when it comes to people who haven't gone through things, and don't listen to them. Like, don't listen to people who say things like, oh, well, that's your mom, that's your dad, that's your family, blah 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 blah. No, people don't know what it's like to deal with mental abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse, and even physical abuse, like, if they haven't gone through themselves. Like, don't ever let anybody who is not you make you feel any type of way. And that's another recommendation. Like, as you are realizing and unpacking the pain and the suffering and how you feel and the emotions, you have to be able to accept that it did happen to you, and it's time for you to start applying what you know. Once again, all the pain, all the suffering on your notes, I'm challenging you to write down what has happened to you. If it's every single thing that you want to get out, release it. Do it all at one time, or take your time doing it. But you have to be able to come to terms with it happened, because unfortunately we can't go back in time. Like, you can't change what certain people said, you can't change what certain people did, you can't change what you said, you can't change what you did. All you can do is learn from it. And until you learn from the situation and apply and do things differently, you will continue to be bitter. And that's when people start to hurt people. That's when people start to have resentment. That's when people start to be angry. And of course, like I said, being angry in the moment is cool, but turning into anger issues, becoming depressed, becoming anxious, becoming a narcissist yourself, having CPD and BPD and like, we don't have time for these labels and attachments. Like, being a serial killer, because that's what happens to people. Like, people end up dealing with abuse and abandonment and trials and tribulations and like poverty, and then they end up like becoming thieves and just doing things that to lower their vibration, to corrupt people and hurt and harm people. And then it's like you end up going to jail, in prison, or you end your life prematurely. And it's like, we don't need to do that. So just know that you're not the only person, obviously, who's gone through struggling and suffering, but it's like, it's time for you to pay attention, because as you're evolving, as you're growing, you're going to, like I said, understand why you went through certain things in your life, and you're going to realize you're gonna realize the reason. And you guys, I hate when I wear those lip glosses that are like sticky and get those little white things. Like, I have those things. But yeah, like, we went through the things that we went through because we needed to know who we were, because that's what life is about. If you are coming in contact with these videos on this platform, that's where we talk. Now, I do have other social medias where I do other things. If you see me here, follow me, like, subscribe. But like, on here, we're here to be honest, we're here to be vulnerable, and we're here to be our true, authentic self, as people like to say. And being who you're meant to be is realizing what was for you, why you had experienced certain lessons, and moving on with life. Like, not being attached, not being overly attached. Like, you could care about certain people, places, and things, but it's not permanent. And it's really important that as you're growing and evolving, you're just understanding who you are and what you want. So lastly, you have to let go of the things that are hurting you. And a lot of times it's going to be certain mindsets, certain behaviors, certain people. It is what it is. If people are not willing to change their behavior and apologize, you need to create distance from them. And a lot of times you're going to have to go into contact. You don't have to explain yourself on why you're going into contact. You don't have to send paragraphs. You don't have to do mediations. Like, if you are somebody who's already tried and certain people don't want to apologize, or certain people don't want to change, or they want to call you crazy, or they don't want to be accountable, it is what it is. And I'm telling you from experience, like, the best thing that I have learned in my 29 years of life is just realizing that certain people are the way they are, and if they want to sit here and do the things they did and act as if they didn't do it and want to say that you're crazy, okay, let them. Because at the end of the day, nobody who has done you right is going to have bad things to say about you. And it's always people who are guilty of the pain and the suffering, the corruption, the chaos that they've placed upon you, whether it was behind your back or to you, that are going to have the most to say. They're going to be the ones that are always checking up on you even after you separate yourself with them. They're going to be the ones who are talking about you to other people. They're going to be the ones who try to, like, spread your name and gossip. And nobody, like I said, who is meant to be in your greatest life or who is on the same frequency as you is gonna believe it. All the people who like would gossip and make up rumors and lies, the people that they hung around were people I never would have access to, never want to be associated with, and they're not on my vision board. Like, they're not people I look up to. If anything, I don't look down on people, but they're just very like demeaning as individuals, like very scuzzy, very unethical type of people, and that's not my type of vibe. That's not my cup of tea. Like, I like to hang around people who are respectful and loving and just not immature and just beautiful and attractive. And being beautiful and attractive has nothing to do with how you look, but how you are as a person. So whatever questions, comments, concerns that I didn't answer, let me know how this video resonated with you, what you need to work on, what recommendation, as well as follow me on all my other social media platforms. All the information in the description. If you want a service and a session like one-on-one and you need more intimate vibes, click the link. If not, if you want me to talk about this in real time, drop the word live. I'll go on TikTok and Instagram. But I love you. You are loved. You're not alone. And thanks for watching. Peace.